So this is my review on the very first episode of Hidan no Aria AA. Now let me first say that coming into this anime, I already knew what to expect and what was going to happen. Mostly because I had already read the source material, aka the manga version of this anime adaptation, way back in November of last year. Let me just say that the studio that adapted this anime did a very good job with it for the most part, at least as it relates to the very first episode, which covered about roughly 2.5 chapters of the actual manga. They pretty much had everything that was important from those 2.5 chapters within episode 1. Of course, they did go about a few things in the anime version differently than how it was in the manga, which I will be going into more detail of during this review. But before I do that, let's briefly go over the episode itself in terms of events and characters. So, at the start of the anime, we are introduced to our main protagonist, who goes by the name of Akira Mamiya. She's 14 years old, and basically she's training to become a bute, which is like an elite armed detective mercenary of sorts, similar to that of a police officer. The jobs range from capturing criminals and solving mystery-related cases. Bute tend to also be skilled in martial arts and other forms of hand-to-hand combat, and they are also permitted to carry all sorts of weapons like swords and guns. Now, even though Akira is training to become one of these elite-type mercenaries, she is currently an E-rank level bute, which is basically bottom of the barrel in terms of overall ability and skill. Like, she's literally the worst of the worst when it comes to being a bute, and the anime drives this fact painfully into our hearts. However, it just so happens that Akira is aspiring to walk in the footsteps of an elite S-rank bute that goes by the name of Aria H. Kunzaki, who happens to be our second protagonist within this anime. Now, what this episode mostly focused on was introducing us to Akira and her two best friends, which go by the name of Shino and Raika, as well as Akira's attempts in trying to become Aria's Amika, which basically is a partnership type of relationship where the more experienced bute, in this case we are referring to Aria, takes another less skilled bute, in this case we are referring to Akira, and basically they take that bute under their wing and they help them to ultimately become stronger under their guidance and tutelage. After seeing how things were going in her life as a bute, Akira attempts to reach out to Aria as suggested by one of her friends in order to train with her as her Amika. Aria soon appears before her and decides to give Akira a test to determine if she is in fact worthy of becoming her Amika. The test requires Akira to steal back a weapon that Aria had previously taken from her within a set time limit, and should she succeed, Aria would officially accept her as her Amika. That's basically the first episode in a nutshell. Overall, I thought the episode was very enjoyable, and I must say I very much love the animation as well as the opening to this anime. I mean, seriously, have you heard the opening to this yet? If not, you seriously need to check it out because it's amazing! I shall leave a link to it in the description, but it's seriously my favorite anime opening to come out this year, so please do yourself a favor and check it out. Anyways, let's go back to what I was saying earlier about the differences between the manga version and the anime version. I'm basically going to list 4 changes that I noticed between the two, at least as it relates to episode 1 and the 2.5 manga chapters that it covers. Now, one thing I'm sure a lot of you will pick up on from first watching this anime, if you have not already seen it, is the fact that there are a shit ton of girls within it. I mean, basically with the exception of a few minor characters, all we basically get are hordes of females within the anime, which leads many to believe that this anime will more than likely be loaded with tons of Yuri related scenes. And truth be told, the manga version does in fact have quite a few Yuri related moments, one of which was within the second chapter of the manga, but for some odd reason this scene did not appear in the anime version. Now, I'm not sure why the anime decided not to have this scene, but if anyone's curious as to what this scene was, I will have a link to it in the description of this video. so that you may check it out for yourself in case you're curious. Another thing I noticed was that the anime version decided to introduce a character that did not appear in the manga, at least not yet, and it's still unclear what type of role she will play within future episodes, but I found this addition to be interesting to say the least. The final thing I want to touch bases on is the fact that in the anime, Akira is shown to have a special ability during the last few minutes of episode 1 as she's trying to take her gun back from Aria. What I liked about the manga's version more so than the anime's version is I think the manga did a much better job in building up Akira's special ability more so than the anime did, because in the manga they spent more time building up the mystique of this ability that she had, and it just made it feel more special versus what the anime did, because all the anime pretty much did was throw it at you at the very last minute as if to say, BAM! Here it is, without any sort of build up at all, really. And also, in the manga version, when it came to Akira taking the test in order to become Aria's Amika, she actually was able to pass the test with 1 second to spare on the clock, versus in the anime version where even though she was able to pass, it was done in a way where she did not fully complete the test, since Aria just took the weapon back from Akira, and as a result of her losing it back to Aria, Akira was not accepted as her official Amika until she is one day able to take the gun back from Aria. But in the manga version, she was able to pass the test completely and become Aria's official Amika right there on the spot. So clearly there was a change here, which is not necessarily a bad thing, and it will be interesting to see how things play out with Akira in this way, as we will hopefully see her grow more and more as a Butte as the anime continues. Anyways, those are basically my thoughts on the very first episode of Hidan no Aria AA. What did you think about it? Feel free to let me know in the comments, and I shall catch you all later.